All right, good afternoon. My name is Brad Honeycutt. As he said, I am with MAXAR's mission support team. And so obviously I understand after lunch, I'd like to start off with maybe a little joke. So why was the strawberry sad? His parents were in a jam. So no, all joking aside, with that being said, we'll go ahead and dive in. So again, I'm with MAXAR's mission support team. I'm the mission manager. And so today we're going to talk about enabling tax solutions with high-resolution commercial imagery. Just going through the agenda here real quick, we're going to talk about how we support the ATAK community from a global perspective. We're going to talk about our next generation GEGD Pro user interface as well as ways to integrate with that. We're going to walk through a quick demonstration video that I'll also have a talk track to, so I might pause it a couple times throughout, and then of course any questions on the back end that you all may have. Going through global EGD or GEGD's relationship with the US government over the past 15 plus years. And so some of you that have been around the community for a while, you may be used to some of the older iterations of what global EGD used to be, going back to days like Digital Globe, things like that. And then more recently, in the 2017, 2019, obviously with MAXAR taking over and us now being the global enhanced GEOINT delivery platform. Some of you, again, may be used to the EVWHS. It's the same content here. And now supporting for at least, the next, or for the future, for the next 5 years or so, the commercial GEOINT access portal, or CGAP. And so obviously been around for quite a while, and we did just release a new user interface that we'll discuss some of that here today, a new user interface to the community as of April 3rd. So just at a high level here, I want to take a quick moment to show how we as a program have supported the US government and as well as the ATAK community through the use of the content that is collected here with Global EGD program. So over the past 12 months, 17 different TAK portals have consumed roughly 343 million square kilometers, or just over 500 gigabytes of content. And you'll see off to the right there some of the top TAK integrations, as well as organizations and different missions and use cases. So from the portal's perspective, essentially streaming imagery on in to the application. And once we get to the demo video at the end, you'll kind of see what that looks like from a use case standpoint. Going through our constellation, so MAXAR has a constellation of what we like to call here our past, present, and future. Past there, of course, being the legacy sensor, QuickBird. Although no longer actively collecting content, that content is available still within our withholdings. And then we have our current on-orbit sensors that are providing data to the contract and to the user interface, as well as the streaming services. We have our Worldview Series 1, 2, and 3, as well as GeoEye 1, taking a look at some of the stats down there below that. So those are the 4 currently on orbit and actively adding content to the program. And then we have our future, Worldview Legion. It's a constellation of 6 small satellites that was developed, produced by MAXAR, and then launched. These are currently not on contract, however, working through to potentially have those on contract here in the future. Something we're very excited about with the Worldview Legion is the ability to add temporal resolution. So now that all those are up and actively collecting, we have the potential capacity to collect up to 15 times in a single day over a given spot on the Earth. Of course, that's not global, but over some of those hot spots for different mission sets around the world, we have the ability to collect up to, again, 15 times a day. So how does all of it work? Global EGD, with the use of the sensors just discussed on the last slide, does provide US and select mission partners with what we call our global daily take, which is approximately 1.2 million square kilometers of imagery uploaded each day to the platform. And so what that looks like, it goes through tasking, collection, processing, and then delivering. Within roughly about an hour, those pixels will be available in the SIPR environment. And then there's an additional about half hour of processing time to make those pixels available in the unclassified environment. In the SIPR environment, you're going to have access to what is our global daily take, as well as a small subset of imagery that's deemed as sensitive by NGA that will maintain its presence on the SIPR side, and then you'll have access to our MAXAR archive. Our MAXAR archive does go back all the way to 1999, so you have about 26 years worth of imagery to take a look at here. On the unclassified side, you're going to have access to all the same content that you had on the SIPR side, but with the addition of what we call our government furnished information, or GFI. So we do host 5 other commercial vendors, 3 of those being commercial electro-optical or EO vendors, and then 2 of those being, 3 commercial SAR vendors, 2 of those being commercial EO vendors that you see listed out there in the bottom right of the slide. We also have a few of the other additional products that are available, like Vivid, and we'll talk about some of that specifically, as well as our RPM, Refined Persistent Change Models, and then streaming digital maps, or CADRG. So again, we do provide that 1.2 million square kilometers of imagery, which is considered our global daily take out to the community. Taking a look at just some of the platform content that we currently have. Again, that Vivid basic content, as well as archive access to SWIR capabilities, or shortwave infrared capabilities, as well as stereo archive pairs. And then for some of that government furnished information, again, those different commercial providers. The 3 SAR providers are Umbra, ICEYE, as well as Capella. And then the 2 commercial EO vendors being Planet and Black Sky. And then you'll see some of the graphic examples down there at the bottom of the Refined Persistent Change Model. This is essentially an algorithm run against time to detect change. An algorithm running against the imagery to detect change over time. Again, the domains that we are currently in is unclassified and SIPR, coming to the JWICS domain in first quarter of 2026 is right now the mark on the wall. We also have things like offline deliveries, as well as, of course, and as it relates back to TAK, being able to use the content in a disconnected environment, as well as low bandwidth support. For our platform access, you do have access to that via username and password, or your CAC, as well as in the SIPR platform, username and password, or NSS token as well. We do host basic and orthorectified image products. Archive content in the stereo archive pairs, we already talked about a little bit about that. And then again, that government furnished information. And then we also have, especially with the new platform, we have some add-ins that we have developed, and those are available within our user documentation that you can plug in and have those supported for those other third-party applications. Obviously here, talking about TAK, we'll walk through that demo here in just a moment. And then just some of the consumers that we have, of course, Department of Defense, Intelligence Community, FedCiv organizations, as well as foreign mission partners, being that is unclassified in nature, the content. Registering for access is pretty simple. So for those of you who may not have an account, you can head on over to pro.gegd.com. You can register for an account. Of course, the registration process here, you can go through, again, register with your username and password, or you can register with your CAC. If you are looking to register with your CAC, you will first have to register with your username and password, and then it'll ask you to associate your CAC along with that account as well. And so that's kind of the workflow for that there. If you are a contractor and needing, or if you're working with contractors, and they need access, they can have access sponsored. If you're also working with foreign mission partners, you can also sponsor their access as well, serving as the government point of contact for that access to the data. Skip a slide. No. So talking about the licensing and who this content can and cannot be shared with. So it can be shared out with state governments, local governments, foreign governments, and intergovernmental organizations, as well as other nonprofits and non-governmental organizations. All the content that's collected and shared on the website or on the user interface is covered under this USG Plus license. And so if you are looking to share that out, of course, it can be shared with any one of those organizations that I just stated. If you have any questions with that at all, you can always reach out to us at our support email address that'll be here in just a couple slides. And then if you're looking to do any sort of public release for any reason, you can reach out to NGA there and walk through their commercial imagery public release email, and they'll give you the steps and guide to be able to do that. So now we've talked a little bit about the platform itself. We're going to dive in to the new user interface. And this is where now I will start a demo video. Again, I'm going to pause it along the way a couple different times just to kind of chat through. So let me click play here. There it goes. So first and foremost, we're going to start off here with getting registered. Again, we've already talked about the ways in which to do so. And then now for the actual demonstration portion of this, taking a look here, this is going to be centered over Fort Irwin, California, or NTC, National Training Center. And you have the ability to implement via OGC services. We currently, our system runs off of 4 different OGC services. You have WFS, or Web Feature Service. You have WMS, for Web Mapping Service. WMTS, Web Map Tiling Service, as well as WCS, for Web Coverage Service. If you're a user potentially of the older platform, you were used to Connect ID that authenticated via username and password as well. With the new user interface, it's all going to be based off of your API key. So you'll see your API key right there in the center. It's currently blacked out for security purposes. That's obviously not wanting to be shared out. So within your own user interface or user account, you'll not want to share that API key. That is all your authentication for integrating into third-party applications. For the demonstration here, you'll see we copied the link there. And then before we dive on into the actual interface, we also have quite extensive in our user documentation of how to integrate. You'll see the table of contents over on the right-hand side. And of course, taking a look at things like stacking profiles. So our user documentation does a great job at outlining all of that. So this is CivTAK using that application on our side, again, to create the demo video here. We went into the maps and favorites. And we're going to go through importing data that we've downloaded, again, over Fort Irwin, California. And you can take a look at the different stacking profiles that are available. All of this content is not currently in our user documentation. However, it's going to be updated into our documentation here shortly. So again, if you're looking to integrate that. But you'll see that imagery is now loaded over on the right-hand side. And we can zoom on into that. And now you're seeing this. I believe this was a Mr. Sid download for the demonstration. So now you're seeing that high-resolution imagery directly on in here. So you can download that. Obviously, using that, import it, and then you can be in an offline use, importing that downloaded imagery directly on into the user interface. And then using, again, those different stacking profiles, and specifically for WMTS here, again, our documentation does a great job at outlining how to use the stacking profiles. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us at our support email address. We have a couple different layers that are available here, and that's where you're seeing that file folder structure that is populated and giving you those different stacking profiles, again, that are going to be available in our documentation, kind of taking some of that work out of there for you. Now moving on over into an actual device, this is based off of a cell phone. And so the demo video here walking through downloading imagery. Again, over National Training Center for Irwin, California. So the demo video is walking through the download process. And then it's going to go here in just a moment. You do have to wait for the download button to come available. One of the great things, and I'll pause here for just a moment, one of the great things about the new user interface is the size of downloads. So if you're looking to download tile sets, geo packages, or even frames of imagery, our old system only allowed you to download up to 2 gigabytes, but with the new user interface, you can download up to 50 gigabytes in a single download. So allowing, obviously, for larger imagery file sizes to be shared and used within the application. So just for a data management perspective, that you'll see that the file name came in based off of the order number. And so just going to go through here in the demo, rename the imagery for obviously data management purposes. And so this one is going to be a GeoTIFF that we are now downloading. And then you'll see that as we are implementing or loading it into the actual interface here. Going to navigate to the location where we can download that content. And then we're going to load those directly on in. And now you'll see within the application over on the left-hand side, again, you're going to see that very same imagery downloaded, and you can go in there, toggle those different images on or off. Obviously took kind of a cool use case here where we had seen smoke, smoke grenade had been let off in the training area, but you're seeing the high resolution nature of those same images. So you had the WinTAK or CivTAK desktop application, and then again, this is going to be hosted directly from the actual web user, the device interface, where you can go in there and add the same data in there in an offline environment if you need to. Again, going back in and downloading, importing other file types in here. So this is going to be the GeoPackage feature layer. And now you're getting that much larger area. So instead of just having that one single frame image that you saw before, you now saw all those different layers that were added on in and allow you to use that now in an offline environment. And then adding in here the WMTS XMLs to view and cache the imagery. So if you're looking to cache that imagery in a local manner so that you can call that while you are on the move. You can again, of course, load those different applications in here to the user interface and then be able to integrate that and use that in a disconnected or offline environment. I'll let this finish playing out here. So you can also move them over to your ATAK directory, so everything's stored nice and neat, and have that all in your mobile table of contents for you to use. That's the end of the video there. So at the end of the day, again, of course, we've been supporting the community for quite some time now. I will say that with the new user interface, it does make integration a lot easier. At least that's the feedback that we've received from the community. And then, of course, what we've been able to integrate within different applications, TAK being one of them. It is live. Feel free to go there and get registered. We have, of course, that historical relationship. We are available currently in 2 domains, coming to the JBox domain. We have the shareability of the content to be able to share out, and then, of course, use that on the go. Here's some additional contact information for myself. I also have some business cards. If anybody would like any, I'll be standing in the back once we're complete. Have some business cards if anybody wants to reach out, have any specific questions on the application here itself. And I know got about 10 minutes left. See if there's any questions that anybody has from the group.
Hi, I support the Mango program that Colonel Halsmer just briefed, and because we're predominantly an offline user base, our users are heavy consumers of the Mr. Sid imagery that you guys provide. We're hearing recently that ATAK may be ending support for Mr. Sid imagery on the mobile platform with ATAK 5.6. That's been kind of our preferred file format. I just wanted to know if you were aware of any discussions pertaining to that with Extensis or Lizard, I think the current owner of LizardTech, or if recommendations on way forward once we lose that support for Mr. Sid.
So if I'm hearing correctly, the question is ATAK is no longer going to support Mr. Sid format?
Correct. Starting with 5.6 is what we're hearing.
That is not, I haven't heard that in the community. I mean, I can grab your contact information.
Absolutely.
We can try to run that down and see. Do you know other formats that are comparable to be able to use within the application?
We generally prefer Mr. Sid. It just anecdotally seems to perform better than GeoTIFF or NetIF. We can look at shifting to more NetIF base, but GeoTIFF seems to be a bit larger. The compression is not as great. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we were looking at. We'd prefer to continue with Mr. Sid if possible because we also get that from NGA and some other sources.
Sure. Do you have a time frame on that? I know you said with 5.6, I think you said?
Yes, which is, I believe, a November release timeline.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely grab your contact information. We can chat more about that.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions here? I'm not seeing any questions on the Slido either for the virtual environment. So with that being said, again, I'll be available in the back if you guys have any additional questions. But at the end of the day, the obviously great resource of using high resolution unclassified commercial imagery within different applications, obviously in this case TAK. So I appreciate it, appreciate your time, and let me know if you have any questions.